time, many years ago, in a land far from here, there lived a lion. Now this lion thought he was the most wonderful thing on the face of the planet. He would stand at the edge of the watering hole, and he would pick bits of leaves and twigs from his mane. And then he would look at himself in the clear water of the watering, and with his wonderful paws, he would reach up and he would pat his mane and stroke it. I am the most wonderful thing on the face of the planet. And then he would walk away and he would strut along the forest paths. And all the other animals would run out of his way because he would say to them, "You are no better than me. I am the best animal on the face of the planet. I am the only one who matters around here. So move out of my way, or I am much stronger, and I could eat you if I wanted to. So get out of my way." Well, he was doing this one day. He was walking along the way that he did. And he had just gotten done at the watering hole and had finished patting his head, and he had his big long tail waving behind him, and he was strutting through the forest when he thought he heard a noise. And the noise was a little rustle in the grass. And he listened, and he took a deep breath, and he said, "I smell a snack." Well, in the bushes, there was a tiny little mouse who was just looking for some crumbs that had been dropped from the bird. And he was picking them up, and he didn't hear or smell the lion coming because the lion moved forward on big, velvety paws, quietly. And so this mouse was in the bushes, and he didn't hear the lion coming until the lion's paws came down his back. "A snack," said the lion. "Please, sir," squeaked the mouse. "Please don't eat me." "Why not? I'm bigger and better than you. I should eat you because I'm hungry and because I'm bigger and better than you." Well, you know this, but mice have very neat bodies. Their bodies are made to kind of press really flat, stand away from things. And while the lion was talking, this mouse's body pressed and pressed and pressed until suddenly all that was left under the lion's paws was the tail. And of course the mouse kept struggling and struggling and struggling. He said, "Please let me go." "You're not important. I am important," said the lion. "But why?" squeaked the mouse. "Because I am the greatest being. You're nothing." But doesn't matter how big you are. I might have some I could use that would be important. And if you let me go, maybe I will save your life someday." Well, the lion roared a great roaring laugh at this and said, "Roar! You're so small. How could you save me?" And the mouse said, But I could. I promise I could." And the lion said, "Well, I'll give you until the next full moon. And if you haven't saved my life and I find you again, I'll have a nice tasty snack before my big meal." And he let the mouse go. And because the mouse had been pulling and pulling all this time, the tail, which had not been very long to begin with, had suddenly stretched very long. And he found himself free, and he was gone and running. Well, the lion continued on his way, and he found some other being to eat. Several days later, he was walking through the forest again. And this time, he didn't see that there was a branch laid across the path, and that if he stepped on it, a great net would fall down over his head. And he stepped, and the branch flipped up, and this huge net came down over him, and suddenly he was stuck, and him free, and he reached up and said, "I am the greatest beast, let me go," and he patted his mane to make himself look better, thinking that maybe if he looked better, whatever being had caused this net to land on him would let him go, but it was no use. So the net over him. Well, off in its little hole, the mouse heard his roar. And the mouse didn't know what was going on, but he could tell that the lion was in trouble. So he came underneath the grate holes, and he came up and he poked his head out of a little hole, and he saw the lion in this great net. And he thought, "Oh, look that I can do." For, wow, the lion's teeth are made for chewing meat and other things. My teeth are for chewing through things like rope and string. And he came up and said, "Hello, hello, sir." And the lion looked and said, "You, what are you doing here? Did you catch me like this?" And the mouse said, "No, of course not, but I can help you." And the lion said, "How can you help me? How?" And the mouse said, "But I can chew through those ropes." And right away, the mouse began to nibble, and nibble, 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 and nibble, and the ropes began to break, but off in the distance came the sound of horses' hooves, and the baying of dogs. Oh! They could smell that the lion had been caught, and the dogs were leading their masters on horseback where the lion was. Well, the mouse knew that this wouldn't do. He knew he could chew. There wasn't very much time. So he gave a little mouse squeak. Squeak, squeak, squeak. "Come and help! Come and help! The lion needs to be freed! Please come help!" And of course the other mice answered and said, "Why should we help? All he ever does is catch us and tell us how much better he is." And the mouse said, "Yes, but he keeps us safe from some of the other things that eat us, and I promised that if he would let me go, that I would save him one day. And if he hadn't let me go," well, the other mice knew that if the lion had not let this first little mouse go, that some of the mice wouldn't be around, because this mouse was a collector of food for some of the other mice. So they hurried through their little dens and their little hidey holes and their tunnels, and they came out of the same hole, and each time one came out, it began to chew on those ropes, so that soon there wasn't one or two mice or even 3 mice. There were probably about 50 or 100 mice, and they went to work freeing this lion. As the sounds of the hounds got closer and the sounds of the horses got closer, and they could hear the men yelling to each other, "Our quarry is caught, we're going to get the lion, and we will be able to have his skin for our rugs, and we will be able to use his claws for making weapons." Well, the mice didn't need anybody else trying to catch things, so they chewed, and finally the net fell away. And as soon as the net fell away, 1, 2, and all the mice were gone. And the lion was free, and he slipped away as quickly as he could into the brush. Well, the men had arrived, and to their dismay, they found that all that was left was this empty net that had been chewed to pieces. And they were quite upset. But the lion had gotten away, and the mice had protected him. And the lion made a vow that day that he would never, ever catch another mouse. Well, lions may not catch mice, but cats do, because they've forgotten the promise that the lion made to the mice. And as for why dogs chase cats, well, it's simple. It's because that when When the lion got away, the dogs still knew that they had to catch this great lion. And so that's why dogs chase cats, because they are always trying to catch the lion that got away.